So, I thought that maybe every once per 10 episodes or so, I would do something special for myself and play one of my favorite games of all time. This isn't in my top 10 or anything, but it's certainly in my top 100. It is ActRaiser, developed in 1990 by Quintet. It says copyrighted 1991 because that's when it was published here in the United States. And I want to take this moment to point out the entry in the book. It has a factual error. It says that it was made in 1990 by Square. No, Square had absolutely nothing to do with this game. It was developed by Quintet and published in Enix. There are two major issues I have with this error, and it's one of the book's most egregious. The first reason is that to prove this error false, all you need to do is start the game. I have been playing for literally 0 seconds, and I learned the issue in the book. The second issue is that Quintet is one of my favorite developers of all time, despite their very, very small library. And we'll be talking about that as we go in. This review is probably going to be truncated here and there because there is a lot of things that aren't going to be very interesting to watch. ActRaiser, I guess you could describe it as a God game, although it's nothing like you'd associate with most God games like Populous or whatever. So first thing we do is type in our name. This game is actually very hard to pin a genre on. It's a 2D action platformer mixed with city simulation elements. Now, we are woken up by this cherub here because we play God. A god. Now, all types of monsters are in total control of the Earth. This all came about because of a demon they called Tanzra. And by they, he means the English localization. And by they, he means the English localizers. Because Tanzra in the Japanese version is basically Satan. He's basically Satan in all versions, but the Japanese one is the one that calls him Satan. Quintet was a developer that was very, very comfortable working with religious themes, which is very, very strange in the Super Nintendo era. I mean, just a couple of years prior, in the English localization of Zelda 2, they changed the name of the dungeons from temples to palaces. I'm not kidding. Actually, no, because I want the story to be... I'm not going to change the speed. I want the story to be conveyed as best as it can. So, let's fight monsters. So I'm not going to talk right now, just watch this effect. And listen to this music. Now this is a first generation Super Nintendo game. And for the time, it looks and sounds fantastic. If you're wondering why things may seem a little bit easier, it's because I'm playing the USA version, because that's the version I've always played. The European version is harder by default. With more enemies, I think spikes kill you instantly. They don't here. And if that's not hard enough for you, you can make it even harder in the European version. This guy here, in the European version, he drops a couple extra nuts, making him a little bit more challenging. It doesn't alter all that much. The combat here, it's hard to compare it to any particular game. I mean, maybe Castlevania. It's definitely nowhere near as intuitive as... actually, it's very intuitive. It's nowhere near as in-depth as something like Castlevania. Now, one thing you'll notice is that I have a score and a time limit. In this game, score is incredibly important. You have to keep your eye on that. You won't know why immediately, because this game doesn't communicate everything, but I'll talk to it as it becomes more important. If you lose all your lives, you just get booted out and have to start the act again. I'm just loving this song, and it's the only time you hear it in the game. It's such a fantastic opening. This level is nice, small, and straightforward. and the music just sounds triumphant. And here we have our first boss, the centaur. Okay, go past here, a little bit past the grass, and he won't be able to hit you. A little bit past the dirt. Now, I will say this. This is the only decently designed boss in the game. I'm not talking about visually. They all look visually interesting. I'm talking about how the boss battle actually plays. And I'll be talking more about that as we go along. But that's level 1. It's quite simple. Now we get to the main draw of the game, to the outsider's perspective. Alright, I have 10,000 points. Okay, that's good to know. Now we get to the city simulation part. And we see 2 little people get birthed into the world. There are several mysterious circles on the ground which are spinning. They will be able to seal layers. Alright. And your people will occasionally talk to you, and by occasionally, I mean quite often. They'll tell you exactly what they need, and they ask you to do it. Basically how to beat the level. Like, for a god game, there isn't really much opportunity for cruelty. I mean, you can destroy their houses with lightning and earthquakes, but it doesn't really affect them. That's not the draw of the game. The city simulation part, while it makes the game stand out, it's not too in-depth. In fact, in some cases, like the first couple of levels, it's almost like a puzzle game. You want to maximize your population. That's how you level up in this game. And it's actually a little bit finicky to get to the maximum level. Because in some levels, like the first 2, you could build bridges. Bridges... See these farms and houses that they're going to build? Each of them lends itself to making the population go up even more. However, each of them takes a space in the game's memory, and there can only be so many objects on the screen at a time. Or, not on the screen, just in a particular area. Bridges also count towards that, but they contain no possibility for population. So, in some levels, the first 2 levels, you need to plan it so you can have as few bridges as possible. Fillmore, I've got the layout pretty much memorized, but Bloodpool I'm going to need to use a guide for. The basic... These guys interrupt you a lot. Ah, yes. Scroll. If you move the road to where I did, you will be able to get your first magic scroll. Magic scrolls are very important, as we'll see in the combat. The basic thing you have to do in the civilization segment is just send the pathways to all of the monsters. It's incredibly simplistic. But this is a game that I think is great, not really because of the gameplay. The gameplay is fine, it does what it tries to do. But if you're just looking at it on that aspect alone, you're going to find better offerings for both the platforming sections and the city simulation portions. If you put lightning on this particular rock down below the cliff, you get a magic spell, which is going to be useful. And these napper bats, they like to take the people away. Now, you can lose all your health here. When that happens, you don't die, you're just not able to attack. And you get to sit there helplessly while the monsters destroy your village. Ah! Get out of the way, stupid. As you can see, I have a limited amount of SP, or spell power, I guess, that goes up every time I kill a monster, and every time the town upgrades, or every time you get a new level. And I think every time you destroy a monster's lair. And once again, the music here just heightens the experience. Why this game is so deep, you won't really see it for a bit. Yeah. But it does come in here, and it's definitely a great introduction to the Quintet games. Although, it's not my favorite Quintet game. Like, if you want to know my history with this company, ActRaiser I played a lot as a kid, although I could never beat it for one of the bigger flaws in the game, and we'll get to that towards the end. I've gotten to the end of the game, but I was never able to beat it until high school. Soul Blazer was the first game that ever made me cry. And Terranigma is my third favorite game ever made. I have not played Illusion of Gaia. I'm planning on getting around to it. But I know the only bad game Quintet ever made was ActRaiser 2. And I'll talk about that later when it comes up. Because the main criticism against ActRaiser 2 that most people seem to give is that they got rid of the city simulation. Which, yeah, it made ActRaiser unique. While it's not the biggest, most in-depth city simulation ever constructed, it made the game unique and interesting. But no, my actual problem with ActRaiser 2 is twofold. Number one, they made the game a shit ton more difficult. And it made the combat worse. Like, they didn't just remove the city simulation aspect, they made the actual fighting 2D platformer stages worse. It's hard to control, and you move like you're going through molasses. In ActRaiser 1, when you're in the combat goes quickly because you're moving quickly. Also, ActRaiser 2 doesn't have a battery backup and the first game does. That is pathetic. Now, as you build, you'll see that the town develops a little bit. You get a horse, you get the buildings improving. Now, if you want to get Fillmore the best as possible, you have to not build next to the river until later. Like, follow exactly what I'm doing and you'll help Fillmore to its maximum population. The other thing that leads to maximum population is your score in the levels. The higher the score you get, the more souls that you've freed. To get the maximum possible population in Fillmore between Acts 1 and 2, and yes, there's going to be an Act 2, you need a total of 20,600 points. In Act 1, I got 10,000 points. So I need about 11,000, and I'm good. I will have maximized the population of Fillmore. Potentially. Now, the power-ups these guys give you, I'm going to be saving them for later. Bombs, or strange statues, they're called bombs. They destroy everything on the screen. Now, sometimes in Fillmore, a fire will break out. I don't know what triggers it. It sometimes happens to me, it sometimes doesn't. I don't think it's going to trigger this time. You just use your rain to pour it out. And yeah, just watching your civilization grow like this, they develop a fishing crew. Yeah. Watching your civilization grow is basically how you grind in this game. Now, there's only a limited amount of monsters in the lair. If you destroy all of them, they will stop coming out. That takes way too long, and it's pointless, and doesn't destroy the lair itself. It just makes them stop spawning. And of course, every time they get away with your people, it adds to their lair. There's only a finite amount of souls available, I guess, and they can either go to monsters or people. The town soundtrack is so happy. So yeah, you have to do this. Specifically this. get every single area covered in road, and then go along the river without crossing it until you get to the third monster lair. Yeah. These are going to be the areas that I'm probably going to truncate the most. Like I said, for the most part, the civilization building area isn't exactly... It's fun to play, it's just not so fun to watch, so I will see you shortly. And we have sealed another layer. What do we get? A strange statue. Basically a screen nuke. He keeps saying, I know it's unexpected, but it does get more expected as time goes on. The translation in this game is not perfect. They can now build bridges. After you destroy 3 layers, you're able to build bridges. And when you've destroyed 3 layers in any given town, that's when the civilization portion gets really boring and really repetitive. Basically, you do this until they build over the layer. So, I will see you when they do that. Oh, I got a level up. Cool. And they're sealing the monster's lair. Excellent. For reference, in the recording, I'm about 20 minutes in from the start. But our people in Fillmore have something to tell you. Since the last layer has been sealed, something strange has been happening to me. I have the same nightmare every night. In my nightmare, the gruesome monster Minotaurus appears through a big hole to the southeast. He says he will curse the people with death. Because of my ability to see the future, I feel as I'm already afflicted by the monster's curse. Please, my master, go down into the ground and destroy this gruesome monster before something terrible happens. Yep, that's a hole. That's a hole that wasn't there before. Okay, return to the Sky Palace. Now, if you feel like you're not ready for Minotaurus, you can start beginning on the second area. If you're at level 4, you can go to Kasandora. You can see the entire world here. And from the Sky Palace, you can see how it grows and develops down below. Exactly how it grows and develops. It's quite interesting. There are 6 areas of the game, and I'm definitely going to be defeating Minotaurus before I go on. Now, after you find... I forgot to get my gifts. I forgot to get my offerings. Yeah. Let us listen. Take an offering. Yeah, you don't want to forget the bridges, that's for damn sure. We're going to need that in Bloodpool. And, magic. Magic in this game is broken as shit. As we will find out. Yes. Each source of magic allows you to cast your spell once more. If you don't have both a spell and a source of magic, you can't cast magic. Alright. Now we go to the Sky Palace, and we actually have to select our magic. It's not automatic. Yeah. Always save the game before you do one of these areas, because, like I said, we do need a certain amount of points. If we kill all the monsters here, people will no longer be scared of evil. Let's do it. This effect is just so memorable. I know it's not the most impressive thing nowadays, but back in the day... Alright. These platforming segments I'm probably not going to truncate, because they are uniquely varied. Although you'll be hearing this particular music track quite a bit. The game doesn't have much music, but the music it does have is very good. grub things. Now keep note, you get 1,000 points for every life you have. And your time bonus definitely also helps with your score. Yeah, in some versions of the game, falling in here will kill you. Okay. The United States version obviously isn't one of them, which is weird because as I played this as a kid, I could have sworn the version I had did kill me when I stepped on any spikes whatsoever. Maybe it was, I don't know, a counterfeit version of the game that have the European version on it for some reason. I mean, it's possible. And yes, some of these areas have branching paths. Not the most expansive branching paths, but still. So yeah, if you want to get a maximum score, basically don't die. Basically, all you can do is run, jump, or not run, move, jump, and use a sword or spell. Like that. I probably shouldn't have done that. That was an accident. That's alright, I don't really use magic on Minotaurus, or I don't need to. Minotaurus, besides Tanzra, he's the only boss of the game with an actual given name. Just a bunch of trivia for you. He also sucks. I suppose I should talk about that now. Quintet's biggest weakness across all of their games, every single one I played, is that they are absolutely horrible at boss battles, especially final bosses. Terranigma is one of my favorite games of all time, and the reason it's not my absolute favorite is because the final boss is one of the worst I've ever fought. I mean, they always look phenomenal. But sometimes the final boss of Terranigma has a special attack that you need to dodge before... You need to jump over it and dodge it before you're able to... before he shows his weak point. Sometimes a boss will... A lot of bosses have that. Sometimes they'll do it once, twice, maybe 3, a maximum of 5 times. But no, with the boss of Terranigma, sometimes you could do it up to 30 times. You're just playing 30 rounds of jump rope till he shows his weak point eventually, maybe somehow. This is a very somber game, by the way. Alright, on to Bloodpool. Nice name, by the way. But yeah, I distinctly remember the final boss of Terranigma being just the worst. And the final boss of, I forgot to check my score. Oh well. The final boss here, or the boss in this level, is also pretty fucking annoying. Yeah, actually the Chimera might be my least favorite boss of the entire game. Alright. Like, if I don't get max population, it's fine. I don't need it, I just want to get as complete as possible. I'd like it on camera or something. Look at those backgrounds. Oh, by the way, this level is actually one of the best levels for farming. To get all of Bloodpool's population, you need 27,100 points. 1-up. So basically, you get the 1-up, you die, get some more points, and so on. We're already at 5,000. Okay, so this is the Chimera. I'm not going to kill him. I'm actually going to farm. See, the way he hits you, it's incredibly easy for him to knock you into that little pit. Like, if you have no idea what you're doing. I did that intentionally, but onto farming. I'll be back later. Okay, I have farmed enough, and yes, I did lose a life in the process. But yeah, I've got enough points now. Just gotta recoup my lost life, and we're good. Let's go fight the Chimera. I don't have to worry about my score in Blood Pool Act 2. This is the only level I tend to do this, by the way. Because it's generally the easiest level to do this. Alright. Use some magic on this guy. Yeah, don't ever stand on the top one. He will knock you into the lava. Alright, let's take care of him. Oh, also, your magic power does not recuperate. Ah! But yes, because of his propensity to knock you into that little hole, that's why this boss is probably my least favorite in the entire game. He's the only boss that significantly annoys me, even to this day. And I am close to dying. Very close to dying. Alright, let's deal with him once and for all. No more messing around. Yeah, get off the space. I fought this guy a lot. And yet that still happens every so often. Alright, cutting to the Chimera boss. And we're back. I just need to take it a little bit more slow, that's all. I need to focus. See, that's how you do it. You go one lower than him, not on him. Don't face him directly. And yes, I'm calling him a Chimera. I don't know if he really is a Chimera, or if that's what his really named. What he's really named. Chimera's technically, he's probably a griffin. Then again, head of a lion, body of a dragon. That sounds like a Chimera to me. More than a griffin. There we go. Die. Hardest boss in the game, I swear. They do. Alright. First things first, you have to deal with the upper area around here. Blood Pool. Look at all these rivers. You're supposed to complete all of this with a maximum of 3. 3 bridges. I want to see something. Status of the Master. Okay, good. I got all the points in Fillmore Act 2 I needed. So one thing you might want to do is put lightning over these trees over here. It's kind of important for things to happen. And you'll reveal a red devil. And something has happened. It's about my oldest. We're worried that. Okay. People are weird, aren't they? Alright, let's. I'm still waiting on the first thing to be destroyed. Because I need to fill in every single space. Yeah, going for 100% is a little bit more difficult here. Because you have to wait for the monsters' layers to be destroyed. In normal playthroughs, it's recommended you just build pathways straight to them. Hey, they have something to tell me. We now know how to grow a crop called wheat. Please share our new crop with the lands that cannot produce wheat. This is going to be important. Every time you take offerings from these guys, they'll have more wheat available. If you end up filling your inventory with too many of these, and you only have 8 spaces, so it's quite possible, all you need to do is put your second wheat over a field that's already wheat. So, use this here. Might as well use the bridge right now, too. I believe, I remember this might be a Mandela effect, but you can take on Bloodpool first as well. And if you get to a point where you can't cross the rivers, they'll invent the bridge and you bring it to Fillmore. My earliest memories of this game are not 100% perfect. And yeah, I accidentally used the bow. It makes you stronger. It's not very useful right now. And they're sealing a monster's lair. Excellent. If you're wondering what the Red Devils do, they destroy farmland, which needs to be rained on to restore it. Alright. Now here's where things get annoying. First, you gotta let them fill in that area there. Yeah, Red Devils are one of the more annoying monsters. Because they're the only ones you need to use god power to fix. Alright. Start at the temple. Go right, go back to the temple, go down, or yeah, go left, go right. Or, yeah, go left, go down, go left, go right. The area I left in marshland, you don't have to build anything over. In fact, you shouldn't. It ruins everything. This game is a lot more fun if you're not trying to get 100%. Our son Teddy has run away from home. We have looked everywhere for him, but we cannot find him. He must be very hungry now. We have made him a loaf of bread. Please give it to him and find him. Take an offering. We have the following to offer this year. More wheat. We're going to need that. And bread. Okay, so Teddy is hanging out by the cave in the castle over here. So give him the loaf of bread. I don't know. I'll remind home and cost and return. Alright, before we do that, down, right, back, down. Alright, so... Oh, not use. I don't want to use anything right now. I have changed my mind. Which do you want to... the translation, like I said, is a little bit wonky, as you might expect for an early SNES game. Magic Skull. And another wheat. Now, if you're wondering, you can't use the Magic Skull on other things. You can't use it here. Do you think it's appropriate to use this in such a place? I suppose you may want to give this some more thought, yeah. You have to use it to destroy the red demons. So. That changes the blood pool to not a blood pool. Some sun here. This right here is the other space you don't need to use anything on. Now, once you've used sun on everything, what you want to do is use rain on the lake. Master, the recent rainfall has caused the lake to rise. The rising water revealed a strange jewel which we found on the lake shore. Please accept it as an offering. Let's take the offerings. Magical Stardust, my friends. This is the most important thing to find in the entire game. And you will see how powerful it is. It turns the one difficult thing in this game, the boss fights, into an absolute joke. And no, I'm not going to self-impose a challenge of beating all of the bosses without the magical Stardust, because you will get to see me fight them without the magical Stardust, I guarantee it. Just have patience. Level up! I will see you the next time I need to move the road. Or after my people are done talking, I guess. Alright, back up and to over here. Down, down, left, left. Hey, level's increased. Alright, so back to here. Go down, because yes, you can build over this tile. And up like this. I'm going to have to change that. I almost screwed up. Upon ceiling, we found a strange statue. Present this to you. Alright, first things first. I gotta make sure I don't screw up. So you go here, go up here, and stop here. Now, let us listen. Since sealing the last monster's lair, something very dreadful has occurred. A monster appeared from the old castle by the lake and demanded a sacrifice of us. We spent hours discussing this hideous demand and sadly determined 3 people should be selected by drawing lots. Unfortunately, one of those to be sacrificed is my son, Teddy. Please go to the old castle and save our son and our land. Now, see, we get to see the people forced to go there. Like, while each of the game mechanics on their own, the city sim and the combats, aren't extra special on their own, by putting these two together, they really build and highlight each other. And, okay. Alright. Return to the Sky Palace. Alright, select magic. Magical Stardust. There are 4 spells in the game. We're going to be using Magical Stardust to the end, though. Fight the monsters. into the castle before it's too late. And again, it's never too late, considering you could develop the rest of the world. Quintet time is weird. Those gargoyles are exceptionally difficult to not be hit by. I don't think it's possible to play this game without getting hit at all. I mean, maybe you're a hardcore expert or something. I mean, I'm very knowledgeable about this game, but I don't think even I can get through here without getting hit. Yes. I am kind of out of things to talk about when it comes to the action segments, because this level is just really straightforward. Except these bastards. These are like the hardest enemy in the game to not get hit by. If you're wondering about the combat in ActRaiser 2, number one, like I said, you move slower. You also have these nifty wings that when you go into a double jump, it makes you do a lancing downward motion that more often than not makes you get hit by enemies. You have all your magic from the start. You can use any spell you want. The issue with that is that it takes a very awkward combination that you're going to need to read the manual to figure out at all. You can play the game for hours without understanding that you have magic at all. The enemies take way too many hits. And there are way too many enemies. But I don't want to talk about ActRaiser 2. I mean, someday I do want to beat it just because. And I guess a better question is, why haven't I played through Illusion of Gaia? And the best answer is, I have no idea. So here's what Magical Stardust does. Every single time. After you get him to a low amount of health, he turns into a werewolf and you kill him. So that's going to be every boss in the game till near the end. And I am going to be right back. Oh, after we see what happens. I know it's unexpected. Thank you so much. My son Teddy has returned from the old castle carrying a precious scroll. Please make other lands this peaceful. Okay. Our people have become bitter and selfish. We have so many quarrels and fights, and I'm afraid I worked them too hard, building our town, and that has caused them too much stress. Sometimes, events will happen that stop production in the town completely. Bloodpool will not get any bigger, no matter how long you wait until you fix this problem. Let me take their offerings first. Alright, to Sky Palace, and I will be right back. Now, the next level the game wants you to go to is Kasandora. I tend not to do that one next, or at this point I do tend to do the levels out of order, so I'm going to Aitos. Why? Mainly because I want to level up a little bit before I go to Kasandora. Kasandora's sim portion needs a lot of SP, and it's best to get a little bit extra here in Aitos. Aitos is quite a small level. You need 24,000 points flat in order to get its max population, which is one of the harder ones to get the points you need. Oh yes, it also has one of the few bosses which magical Stardust isn't very useful against. Whoops. Oh yeah, these birds are dicks. I mean, they like to lower you down perfectly to get hit. Hey, birds, fly higher! I'm your fucking god! I created you! Why do you keep dropping me? You owe your existence to me! Go up! Yeah, I'm getting hit way too much. There we go. And into the volcano. Only 4,000 points. That is not good. And I'm probably going to die unless I get an apple. That is a screen nuke. They're very rare for some reason. Yes, apples in this game are your full heal, and I'm pretty sure that's because of the religious connotation to apples. Alright, now here is a power-up that appears only here. It gives your sword laser beams, which is incredibly useful and important to deal with the water dragon thing, or the sky dragon. Now, magical sky dust does work on this guy. You just need to know exactly when to do it. Not there, obviously. There, when he's about to do that backswing, that's when you want to do the magical Stardust. But you're probably not going to be, Magical Stardust works a lot better on the, Act 2 bosses than the Act 1. Die. Die. There we go. Alright, what's my score here so I can write it down? Alright, 12,600. Other words, Aitos is a mountain city, and the only place where we don't actually need to use wheat from now on. Okay. Please use the mighty power of lightning to destroy this. Yeah, lightning is a much cheaper power to use than rain, which you need for Kasandora. And I'm probably pronouncing these areas incorrectly, I understand that, but there's no pronunciation guide, so... And this gives us introductions to flying skulls, which are the worst enemy to deal with in the sim portions, because if you let them go, they will do earthquakes, which pretty much destroy all of your buildings. Also, they take 8 hits to kill, and they do a ton of damage. And they're hard to dodge if you don't focus on them. Only 2 areas in the game have them, and Aitos is one of them. Luckily, there's only one of these skull things here. But otherwise, Aitos is a pretty minimal village. So there's definitely not going to be much to talk about here. Ah, no, go away! No, no, no. See how much damage they do? Ooh, what do they have to tell us? Stress injuries while suffering. Perfect. sealing the monster's lair, he was fatally injured. He is now standing before the shrine with his last ounce of strength. His last request is to pass away while being covered by the Master's tears. Please grant his request. Send the rain. It's not something you have to do, but I do it every single time. Alright, I will, see you soon. I do want to show you something. One thing that makes Aitos a little bit tricky, I guess. There are spaces behind the mountains. Make sure you account for them when you're doing your civilization building part. Hey, something happened. My master, this year our ranch has had some horses. That's nice to hear. It doesn't affect anything, but it's nice to hear. Oh hey, something happened. The wind is gone, and without it our windmills won't work. Could you cause the wind to blow, please? Silly people building windmills in a place that doesn't have any wind. This is the only time in the game where it's mandatory to use the wind power. It basically does what the bomb item does. It's a screen nuke. And it's very expensive. And there are a lot of cyclists today. Basically, you only use this when you're low, when you're out of health and are out of items to help you. You know what? I love these blue demon things. Like, after they destroy your buildings, they just sit there for a while with the look of a dog that just shit on the carpet and knows it did it. And knows that you're angry at him doing it. Yes, we gotta level up. Ooh, and they have something interesting to tell us. We have learned to make clothes from the fleece of our sheep. This fleece is very warm and could be very useful to any land as cold as Aitos. I'm not going to take their gifts quite yet. It's going to be useful later on. And we're about to destroy another monster lair. Perfect. Yep, strange bow and arrows. I cut ahead, but something's just about to happen at the next development mark. So we watch the people build their things everywhere. Build houses. Yep. We have now refined our mountaineering skills. The mountain holds many unseen mysteries, and we will inform you if anything is discovered. Excellent. I know it's unexpected, but our people in Aitos have something to tell you. Yes! A level up. Now I can make earthquakes. Which you'll get to see shortly enough. Not here though. It takes all of my SP. It's very, very powerful. And the final monster lair has been destroyed. People in Aitos have something to tell you. The old dormant volcano suddenly erupted. We can hear monsters' footsteps. Our town, Aitos, will not only be destroyed by the eruptions, but also by monsters. They'll still keep building the town, by the way, when fires are just raining everywhere. I don't think it can destroy their buildings, but, yeah, you keep building up Pompeii. It's going to look beautiful shortly enough, I'm sure. You can't do anything while town is under construction, by the way. Which is definitely a flaw of the game, but, you know, there's only so much they can process. So I want to take the source of magic into the volcano. Hopefully I can rack up some points quickly here. That's 1,000 out of 12. And my throat is starting to hurt, which is not good. Not good at all. Ah, this room. This room is fun. Jump here, and don't die in the lava. That's the basic rule of the level. Now, each one of these arrows you kill gives you 10 points, which is not what I'm looking for. So we're at 4,000. I have 4 lives, which technically makes it 8,000. I might have to intentionally die on this one. Aitos is just the hardest level to rack up a significant amount of points for. Yeah, I'm definitely, I'll feel much more comfortable. Looks like I'm gonna have to get the boss to kill me. This is the boss. The stupidest looking fucking thing in the entire game. It's just a ring of fire. I fell into a... I have no idea what to say. Alright, that makes it 9,000. Like, I understand I'd also get a time bonus, but it would just barely get me through. I want more security than time bonus. $8,000, that puts me at 11,000. Ow. Okay. Alright, let's take care of this. See what magical Stardust does? Not only does it do an immense amount of damage, you're invincible while you use it. Why don't we make the boss fights just a little bit easier? Nah, we could fix it if we give them a spell that basically kills the bosses instantly. There we go. All the monsters in Aitos have been destroyed. Thank you for taking care of us. We can now take care of ourselves. So please help other lands enjoy the peace that we have here in Aitos. Alright. Kasandora. In the Japanese version, it was named Cassandra. I don't know why they changed it. I mean, maybe they didn't want any towns based on actual names, but they changed the name of that other village to Fillmore, which is a name. Anyway, desert. Now, Kasandora is the most memorable part of the game. Not necessarily in the platforming stages, but in the sim portion. I'm probably still going to truncate it a bit, but... Okay, now we need 21,100 points. Which shouldn't be too hard to get. Yeah, fucking cacti everywhere that function as spikes. Yeah. Very bombastic music. There is health here, right? Yes. I am actually very thirsty right now. That's because my throat is sore. What a coincidence, we're in the desert. Like I said, I'm out of things to talk about. I guess the only thing to talk about would be the other Quintet games. Soul Blazer is probably the worst in terms of Quintet bosses. Like, it took me forever to even beat the first boss in that game. Because it's just annoying. The gameplay in Soul Blazer is very reminiscent of Gauntlet, where there's a bunch of enemies coming out of a spawner. I don't actually... It's been a while since I played Soul Blazer, so I don't remember the moment that made me cry. I just remember that immediately after it was a very annoying boss fight that you had to deal with and you were all emotional and shit. This guy. Oh my god, this guy. Sometimes I can kill him with just one magical Stardust. I think it's an antlion. Enemies that usually burrow into the sand or and look like that are usually called antlions. Okay, that's 10k points, yeah. Now Kasandora has a lot of desert. Lots of it. It's a desert town. Please send the rain to wash away the sand and cults of me. I'm going to have to take a break here for my throat to rest. I did not expect this. But it should be pretty much instantly for you. I don't have to play all these games in one sitting, thank God. How about no? It's been an exhausting day, I'm sure. A short rest now will result in a splendid world tomorrow. I don't understand why Super Nintendo games basically give you an option to essentially freeze the game. Most games seem to have something like this. Maybe it was a myth that turning off the power with the game still doing something would have caused an issue or something. I don't know. And now we are back. Did I get sufficient rest? I hope so. Because I can beat this game in one sitting, and I usually do. Anyway, back to Kasandora. Kasandora. Observe the people. Alright. Immediately, we want the road to go this way. Alright. Most of the enemies are hidden underneath sand. I went for a walk, and now I'm all hot and stuff. But at least it's cool in my house. A tremendous rain fell in the northeast. We sense an evil presence extending from this pyramid. We will be investigating the matter. We will let you know what our investigation uncovers. Now, in the Japanese version, this pyramid here, it had the Illuminati eye. Like, there were more symbols in the Japanese version that... It's probably a good thing that they got removed from the game. Okay, so there's a farm here. We have to use wheat. Like, one of the monster's lairs in the Japanese version was the Star of David. And, yeah, that could easily get them in trouble. And once you uncover the pyramid, use the earthquake ability. Some of the pyramid walls have fallen. As a result, we found an unusual jewel. I think you can only get this before Kasandora Act 2. I'm not 100% sure. That's just a theory. No, I'm not gonna say it. Some of our people ventured into the vast deserts. Okay. So yes, Kasandora is one of the more tedious of the civilization era is because look at all this fucking desert. You don't have to remove all of it if you want, even if you do want 100%, but why wouldn't you remove all of the desert? Just slowly but surely, you'll get there eventually. Two napper bats and one napper bat, one lightning thing. What are these guys called? Blue dragons. Okay. Just slowly but surely. If you use the earthquake, this beginning of this area is going to be a little bit more annoying. Considering there's only so much you can do. Anyway, we gotta lead our people to the guy dying in the desert. And trust me, you want to do it as soon as possible. And because I destroyed a monster lair, everything has reset for me. Excellent. So, water. Every time I play Kasandora, though, I think of that episode of Fairly Odd Parents with Norm the Genie, where Fairy Idol, I think, where Chester wishes to bring rain to the desert, because that's more accurate to what happens. Like, I don't care if you're God, if you put rain on the desert, it's just gonna make a swamp. And no, I'm not cutting away because it's very important that we see what happens. Might as well take care of the napper bats along the way. It is incredibly hot today. I don't know if I've mentioned that. It really does feel like I'm in a fucking desert. Second day of May, and it's already 85 degrees. Nature basically said, fuck it, we're not doing spring this year. Just jump straight to summer. You already had enough springtime back in February. Boop. Also, if you're about to get hit and destroy and lose hit points, all your hit points from the monsters, a good strategy to avoid getting hit is to move the roads. You're invulnerable while you're moving the roads, and there are no monsters on the field. The only times when it's a bad idea to move the road at all is in Fillmore and Bloodpool, because of their finicky construction. And... yes, send the rain. And we guide our people to him. Yeah, see, this is most of what you've been missing, what I've been cutting out. Like, I understand why they cut the city simulation portion in the second game. It's very, very minimal. Like, there's not much to it. But I do wish they made it better instead of cutting it out altogether. Rumors are that it was an order from Enix. Which, maybe it was. I don't know. The publisher is always a nice scapegoat. Like, that doesn't really make too much sense to me. My only guess is that ActRaiser 2 was just ordered in general, and they didn't really want to go through with it because ActRaiser 2 is not a fun game. I mean, maybe it's not supposed to be fun, but it's just tedious. And, like, right here, this might look tedious. I swear it's not. There's just once again, there's something zen about it. And now we get to him. Thank you for leading us to them. Sadly, life had already left the missing man when we arrived. We planned to bury him near the shrine. The missing man was holding a strange scroll in his hand. My master, we present this now to you as an offering. Then, music changes. My master, Kasandora is the birthplace to a marvelous art form, music. I composed this music for the man who lost his life in the desert. Music has mysterious powers. By listening, people can calm their hearts and soothe their pains. My master, we present you with the music as this year's offering. Yeah, so to commemorate this guy, they invented music. It sounds small, but there's just something very poetic about it. Also, if you want the secret, go here. We found a strange scroll on the foot of the mountain just south of here. I think that's all of the secrets in Kasandora. Alright, I'll see you guys when we're done here. Go away, red demon. I've made it rain enough on this desert. Yay, that's 3 down. Not much to say. Just... this music, it's not only invented for a man who died, it's really good music. And it's definitely refreshing compared to the usual town music you hear in every other area. I mean, it's a little bit short, but it's nice. You don't mind listening to it for an endless amount of time. And with this last one, we have removed the desert completely. Ah, there's still a red devil. Go away. And after the town gets constructed, that should be it. That's Kasandora. And a level up. One of the most memorable parts of the entire game. Go away, Red Devil. Go to Aitos. I'm sure they'll have fun with you up there where they have no farms whatsoever. Okay. The pyramid has been enticing us. Those who went in to investigate the pyramid have not returned. When we sealed the final monster's lair, the pyramid revealed its true purpose. The pyramid is the main monster's lair. Please come down and seal this evil pyramid. Alright. Take their offerings. Source of life, that's incredibly useful. That'll help with scores easily. Make sure you take the life and the magic first, because they don't take up inventory spaces, and if you're maxed out on inventory, you cannot pick up the source of magic until you deal with your inventory, which usually involves wasting a power-up or some wheat. By listening, people can calm their hearts and purify their minds. Music is truly powerful, is it not? Yes, the way it's written, it sounds like they're asking if I have anything else to offer, because, like I said multiple times, the translation is not perfect. It's good enough. I mean, even in Terra Enigma, the translation isn't perfect. These games, I really wish they were remade or put on the Virtual Console, but because of their religious content, it's very unlikely we will ever see these games re-released. ActRaiser was ported to a European phone, but it was heavily stripped down, and don't play that version. Please do not play that version. It is a disservice to you. Just get an emulator if you have to. Like, you shouldn't really feel any guilt about playing the Quintet games. Quintet doesn't really exist anymore, so there's no way the rightful owners could get any funds if you went out of your way and bought it. Like, it's very hard to argue that it's wrong to emulate Quintet games. It's a company that doesn't exist, so they wouldn't get money from you anyway. The people who own the system it was on and have the ability to port it to a virtual console haven't done so. And if you went out of your way to buy a Super Nintendo and a cartridge, which I have, I own an ActRaiser cartridge. The original creators, the people who own the game, wouldn't get money anyway. And if you're from Europe, emulating might be the only way to play the American version, which I think is the superior version in this case. Because the enhanced difficulty can make it more annoying. Like, when these monsters take more than one hit, it really does hamper flow. And I need to get to 11,000 points. Look at all that magic I got. Also, this level in particular is the one time in this game that I really think is a dick. Most of the times you can see traps and everything is telegraphed. There's... Okay, this can be annoying. The ups and downs and easily missing. Vertical climbs are always annoying in 2D platformers, I think. But into this room. Okay, yeah, you can easily see that if I step on these, a trap is going to fall. Like, that's easily telegraphed. 4,000. If I get to 5,000, I'm good. Okay. This is certainly one of the more straightforward platforming levels, I think. Like, the difficulty in most of the levels at this point is pretty interchangeable. Like, no matter which order I tackle them in, I never feel overwhelmed or like something that's severely out of place. And that's not just because I played it a million fucking times. Okay, a platform goes on here and you're tempted to jump on it as it goes down. Don't do that, or you'll get hit by the spikes. Especially if you're in a version where spikes kill you instantly. That would be bad. That has happened to me. Because, like I said, when I was a kid, I could have sworn that I played a version where the spikes killed you instantly. And now we fight the head of King Tut. Just a Sphinx head. Yeah, some of the boss's physical designs, while they're aesthetically done well, they are stupid. Like, a Sphinx's head. A wheel of fire that just rolls around. Or they're just typical, like a Minotaur, Centaur, or Chimera. The bosses are indeed my least favorite part of this game. Thank you for sealing the evil pyramid. The man who was lost and died in the desert was probably enticed by the pyramid's magic power. Thank you so much for taking care of us. We can look now after ourselves. And yet not 5 minutes later, they all start dying of the plague. I'm not kidding. Just give it a minute or two. Usually it happens immediately. Yeah. Like, not 5 minutes later, they say they don't need your help, but everybody starts dying of the plague. Please bring us some herbs. Please save us from suffering and bring peace to our lives. I thought I just did that! Alright, to Marana. Marijuana. Yes, we're going to marijuana. This level is the absolute shortest. You only need 16,300 points to get everything you need. But it's also another very interesting level, and I think it's the part where the religious aspect of the game might bother some people. Like, a lot of the reason why so many creators are afraid to deal with religion, myself included, is because it's incredibly easy to seriously hurt someone and their beliefs and opinions, even when you don't mean to. And I personally believe if you're dealing with things like this as a creator, it's your duty to understand it and work with it the best that you can. I know that not everybody agrees with this, but it's my own personal opinion, and it's why I don't really write stories around religion. I personally feel uncomfortable doing it, because it's too easy to step on people's toes. It's the one type of story I generally avoid. I've tried it in the past. And I think I was doing a good job. What I wrote, people thought was a good job. I just couldn't go through with it. And keep in mind, I've written things about gender, about sexuality, all kinds of things, cultures, crimes, and... Okay, this guy is... yeah. Wait for the snakes to fall, jump here, one up. Yeah, religion just seems to be my no-go area when it comes to writing. Quintet, though, I think showcases both the extreme positives that you can achieve dealing with stories that use a religious background and religious themes, and it does occasionally show some of the low points of that as well. This boss can be annoying. You can't use the Stardust on him because it doesn't really do anything. So hit him a few times, that tentacle. You don't want it to come up when it's near there. This is one of the bosses that I've actually took so long fighting that I've run out the timer. Okay. What you want to do is get the tentacle to rise up over here, jump over it, and basically do this. I mean, it's not hard. It just takes forever. And you get those bubbles occasionally. And he's dead. So I now have 11... I have more than 11k points. How many do I have? Okay, 14k. Yeah, there's no way in hell I'm not going to get the maximum amount of points I need. Alright, welcome to Marana, a tropical island that's very, very small. May become a land where people can live in peace. Alright, my master, let us work towards peace. Alright, they'll tell you what your overall objective is here. Destroy some of the palm trees. Okay, the very first thing you want to do is earthquake. It's the first thing you want to do. Now we've joined the continents. How wonderful, the two islands are now connected. And yes, that's not what I'm exactly talking about with some of the unfortunate implications that this level might get. You know, earthquakes on a small island being a good thing. Earthquakes on a small island nation, yeah. That could make people a little bit uncomfortable, but that's game logic for you. Like, I don't think Quintet is perfect. I think they're ambitious. And ambitious can be a very double-edged sword if you don't know how to use it properly. Like, I don't think this is offensive to me or anything. I find it interesting. But I do realize, objectively, I don't think they quite stuck the landing here quite as well. Like, this is a game that I really want someone to take this concept and do it a whole lot better nowadays. Some sort of super advanced remake or a spiritual successor, you know, like a Shovel Knight or Undertale are today. We need one of those games for ActRaiser. Yes, there's a temple that is making, it's said to worship us. And it's making them very uneasy, because the monsters have not tried to destroy it. We have found a strange bow and some arrows. We present this offering. Please accept it. Okay. There's not much to do here. Marana goes by pretty quickly, especially if you know to use Earthquake at the start. You use Earthquake before you build anything because it immediately destroys all of your houses and shit. And that kind of slows things down a little bit. And yes, your lightning can destroy any enemy on the square. Use some sun, and we'll reveal the blue dragon. Or the blue dragons. Oh. It's the exact same sound effect when the red devil destroys a farm, and I thought... never mind. So I will cut ahead until something interesting happens. As per usual. I know it's unexpected, but our people in Marana have something to tell you. Many of our people have already turned against our eternal master. I believe the shrine may be the cause of this change of heart. This is a problem we must solve on our own. I just thought you should know. So, talking about Marana as a concept, what is happening is that there's basically a false god that the people are worshipping. Basically, they're converting to a different religion. Now, in context, it's clearly a minion of Tanzra. But Quintet does have a little bit of an issue with this. And, like, when there's clearly just one god in context, each time they, I don't think they quite stick the landing all the time. Like, in Terranigma, one boss is literally titled Pagan God, that you have to fight and kill while you're working essentially for God, resurrecting the world. And it's a concept that's... like, something may be a little bit lost in translation in these scenarios. because I don't think pagan necessarily means... I don't think pagan god means false god. By the way, for reference, I am agnostic. Like, I'm not religious at all. But this level does portray people believing in another god to you as bad. Like, it's very hard for me to find the words to articulate this. As soon as they offer you the herbs, take them immediately. Because eventually they're going to start converting more and more. God damn it. Now I need to use up something. Use offering. Use the wheat. Yeah, if you picked up too many of these, your wheat increased by... I have no idea what that means. Take an offering. Herb. This is a medical herb. Anyone who drinks the tea of this herb will immediately be cured of the plague. But yeah, this is probably just a me thing, uncomfortable with writing around religions. I think it's an interesting concept. A god game where you need to make everyone believe in you and only you. But then again, in the current cultural climate, that could be hard to pitch. Religion is just one of the touchiest subjects out there to deal with. That's not to say that I don't blame Nintendo for going so hardcore on their anti-religion attitude back in the day. Like, I mentioned Zelda 2 changing palaces to temples. That seems fairly arbitrary and stupid. But then again, back in the 80s and the 90s, there was definitely a lot more religious paranoia. With things like the Satanic Panic, and people believing that Dungeons and Dragons could help you summon Satan or whatever. Now I'm making myself uncomfortable talking about this. I guess it just makes it so impressive that this game exists. I mean, maybe it only exists because they changed the word God to Master, but... Our people have sealed the Monster Slayer without our help. Sir, enter the civilization level of Marana seems to have improved. I know it's unexpected, but our people in Marana have something to tell you. No, they don't, because they're not here. Could it be those two have also had their heart drawn away by the evil powers? Sir, enter. You must enter the shrine and fight to save your people. I mean, a little bit of the problem here is show, don't tell. They just say that the other guy is evil. I mean, the people they're still productive. They'll still build and shit. They'll even build in your direction. Status of the city. Marana is completely normal in that regard. And see, everything is fine without you doing anything. You just kill the other guy because they're worshipping him and not you. The only thing you can't do is take an item, not just because I don't have anything. So, return to the Sky Palace and, we go and fight them. And we go to the Marana Temple. Or the other Marana temple. Okay, I only need... Basically, I need to not die. That's all. Also, this is the only level that seems to start you walking off to the left. And so they face you on the left, which is a nice little touch. This level can be quite difficult. I wouldn't say it's the hardest level in the game, but it's certainly one of them. The boss, on the other hand, is a pushover even without the magical Stardust. Yeah, imagine playing the version which spikes kill you instantly. There are Grim Reapers here. Surprisingly, they're like the least intimidating enemy in the entire game. Well, I am getting my ass kicked here. And yes, we seem to be fighting against some sort of snake god. Okay, I have no idea what power that... This elevator gives you a lot of issues. I would comment more about the concept of this area, but I feel like at some point I'd be reading too deep into it. As we shall see. So yeah, I died once. I got 7 more lives. I'll be fine. Ah, jeez. Very hard to avoid damage around here. Well, not very hard. I'm just not being as thorough as I should. Go, 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 go. Ah. Oh, thank you. I think this is a checkpoint. No, it's the boss. This is the false god of Marana. Beers. And boom. I'm just not going to comment. I know it's unexpected. Cultivating the land of Marana was a difficult task for us. No matter how many homes we seemed to build, monsters came and destroyed them. In the midst of all our troubles, a man of eloquence appeared. He assured us that by becoming the monster's followers, troubles and hardship would be eliminated from our lives. Alas, we were deceived by his words. I realized how susceptible human beings are. All of us have learned a very important lesson from this experience. We will never betray you again. We can now carry on without your help. Please help other lands find the peace we now have in Marana. Okay, so now we're going to do something a little bit... we're essentially going to do this game's version of grinding. I'm going to start maximizing the areas we have. So you basically go to a new area, earthquake it, give the people what they need. I guess an earthquake didn't solve the plague. But yeah. Now everyone is hunky-dory. I wanted to go to Kasandora first, because you get a special item here if you wait long enough, essentially. As you can see, it's going to be a while here. I'm essentially going to be here until my population is maxed. So that will be quite some time. One thing about Kasandora you need to know is that, like Aitos, there is spaces hidden behind the mountains. I leveled up. Finally, it happened. Our people in Kasandora have something to tell you. We found an ancient tablet under a rock at the ancient ground drawing. The tablet says something about an island that has the same shape as the ground drawing. We present this tablet to you. Please accept it. This can sometimes take forever to get. We have the following to offer this year, Master. Which of our offerings do you? The ancient tablet. Marana is obviously the place you've got to use this. But you basically just go to Kasandora and just wait. I've almost completely covered the entire map, I think. After I do that, I like to combine every... Oh, I forgot that space. Every single crossroad. Just because I think it looks nice. The population isn't maxed out yet. So as the cities. Yeah, norm. And yes, it might seem like a weird time to grind before I've done the last area, but it's just how I play the game. Or, you know, when I get a level up. Your level is 13 and now your HP are 20. Your level will increase again when the total population becomes 3,300. Would you look at that, we have maxed out Kasandora. Now, because we got the music from Kasandora, I suppose we should go to Bloodpool next. Bloodpool, observe the people. They're still fighting. But please hear our plea. Our people have become bitter and selfish. Well, I know exactly what'll help them with that. All we need is a nice, good earthquake. Yes. See? That gets rid of all of the combat thing. Status of the cities. Nope, that didn't do jack shit. So we need to use an offering. Harmonious music. Now Bloodpool also has this sound. Since the roads are already done, I guess I'm just gonna sit here. This is the perfect time to get up and use the bathroom, I guess. I'll be seeing you when something interesting happens. Ah, excellent. Something interesting has happened. Bloodpool has extended its borders to the far reaches of the ocean, with the man's invention of a device known as a compass. Our navigational ability has improved tremendously. We presented this compass to you as an offering. Please accept it. Okay, now the compass has two uses, and you can only use it for one of them. If you use the compass in Fillmore, you're able to get an extra life. If you use it in Marana, you get an extra MP. I'm going to be using it in Fillmore because it makes getting the score in Northwall easier, and I find extra lives more valuable than extra magic, especially at this stage in the game. So I'm going to see when the Bloodpool population is filled. Or, you know, when I level up. And I think we've gotten the max here. Yep, same exact mass as Kasandora, even though Kasandora looks much, much bigger. Let's go to Fillmore, the place we started. Observe the people. They don't have any special issues, so we'll just earthquake it. You need to do this because only if you want the max population, you need to use the biggest buildings. And we get to use the compass. But our people in Fillmore have something to tell you. Skills of deep-sea fishing. Our deep-sea fishing is bound to yield curious finds other than fish. If something... Okay, I'll come back to you when that happens. It seems that they have found something. A strange jewel was discovered during our fishing expedition. We presented to you as an offering. Please accept it. Take an offering. Extra life. And look, you get to see the little boat on the ocean. Details like that are why I love games, or why I love games like this. Get to have nice little castle mansion things. Sometime in Bloodpool you could see a man and his dog just playing in the streets. So much extra little details are packed in this game, so much care. It's amazing for a company that just debuted. So, apparently Fillmore has been maxed at 882, which is strange considering it's supposed to have over 900 places. Fillmore is always weird about that, and I don't know why exactly. So I guess I'm not going to get 100%. Unless something weird happens. Alright, so we give this place another earthquake. And you may be wondering, isn't this like a fault of the game to have so much downtime, just time where you could literally just walk away from the computer or the game? And I'm gonna say no, because this is entirely optional. And I mean, other games of this era did the exact same thing. It's called grinding. The only difference is that in this game you don't need to be around during the grinding. The game can grind for itself, which is always a good thing. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is use lightning on this space. And then use an offering, the ancient tablet. Ancient tablet has fallen from the sky. As instructed, we shall investigate the bird-shaped island. And they will indeed do that. All of the roads are built here. Excellent. Marana comes and goes quickly. Just follow the boat. It's definitely really interesting just seeing how this works. And the town music in ActRaiser has probably transcended the game so much. You've probably heard this even if you've never played the game. Extra Credits uses it for their Extra History series. That may be why it sounds familiar. And the people come back. You can hear this song for hours, and it really never gets old. It's the perfect kind of town music. And once they leave, I will cut forward again. After the town gets constructed, I guess. Aren't you glad I'm spending the time and effort to actually truncate this one this time around? Let us listen. An ancient tablet is fallen. Okay. Yeah, Let Us Listen just showcases the latest news that has happened. They should be talking about it soon. Any time now. Yeah, fine. I'll cut ahead until it happens. Another level up. While I'm definitely not going to get 100% all of the population everywhere, I'm fairly confident that I'm going to get to the max level. There is some leeway in that regard, which is very good. Yay, here it is. They have something to tell you. We have discovered the Master's magic on the island northeast of here. We present this to you as an offering. Please accept it. Now, what does this magic do? I have no idea because I never use anything other than the magical Stardust. But it's here if you want it. Yeah, I'm probably gonna need this. And I believe that that's the end of Marana. Yep, just got one more place to go, and that's Aitos. Kasandora and Aitos. I don't think there's any little weird things we have to do here besides earthquake it. I kind of feel a little bit guilty that I have to earthquake it. Yeah, it's something you have to do if you want to get the maximum population possible. Am I full? No, good. I can take the one offering that I still need. Take an offering. We need the sheep's fleece. Yeah, yeah. Only can hold 8 items because of 16-bit limitations. Okay, I'll see you when this place is done. Okay, Aitos seems to be maxed out too, at a little bit lower than I was expecting. Trying to think. Oh, onwards to Northwall, I guess. And Northwall, you need 23,400 points. I don't know, maybe there's just something I'm missing. I really do not know. Save game. Yes. Continue building your world. The final level is the ice level, and it's one of the least annoying ice levels I've ever played, which is thankful. That's something I am very, very thankful for. Now listen to this music. Like Fillmore's was unique, Northwall's is also unique. And it's just very calming. This level isn't that hard. What I used to do as a kid is I used to beat all the Act 1s, and then after I was ready for Act 2, I would do all of the Act 2s from every single level, all in one long marathon. Because I had trouble beating the bosses as a kid. Until I discovered the power of magical Stardust. Now, these things don't diminish until after you get off of them, which is quite interesting. Uh, 1,000 points, excellent. I am losing a lot of health very quickly, and I don't know why. Well, I got my apples, so I'm good. Okay, so you go through here, and there's something on the ground. 1 up, perfect. Yes, I have made it. Alright, this can be a little bit annoying. I mean, ever so often an ice shelf will come, you could try to jump on it, and you can do it, but that's not what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to just stand here, and it will take you with it. And that could definitely be conveyed much, much better. I spent so long just trying to jump on those things, and it's certainly possible, it's just not the way you're supposed to do it. here we go. Jump before it's too late. Doop. Ow. I don't know what else is there to comment on. Because this level is pretty straightforward. Just to go through the caves without stepping on any spikes. We're almost towards the tail end of the game, so it's obviously going to be a yes. Like, I knew that from the start. It's up there for me. I wouldn't consider it one of my favorite games of all time, but I will pick it up any day and I will play it to completion. Even though the bosses kinda suck. And why is that? Well, it's a Quintet game. That's not ActRaiser 2. And Quintet was one of the first game developers that really tried to push video games as an artistic medium. This game, and pretty much even ActRaiser 2, they're all trying to be artistic expressions through gameplay. And that is amazing, especially in the early 90s. And as we can see here, every single space is snow. All of them. It's unexpected, but our people in Northwall have something to tell you. Our land, Northwall, is covered with snow. Yeah, I kinda gathered that. Please use the warmth of the sun to melt the snow. We long to see the green of the plateau. If you did that, why did you set up camp in the tundra? Okay, now this is where we're going to use all of the fun little things like the bow and the bombs. Because this place has 2 of the skull demons, and they can't build bridges from the start. So you're going to have to deal with at least one of them for quite some time. It's kind of why I wanted to wait on this level until I had as much ammo as possible. Okay, over here there's also a lake. It looks like a river, but it's actually a lake. You have to melt all 4 of the snow in it. So once you clear a path to both of these guys, I would recommend doing that. Luckily, it takes a few seconds for these guys to respawn, but yeah, even with the arrow improvement, it still takes 2 shots to kill them. And once they start moving, they will do massive amounts of damage to you. Alright, and we get to use the final wheat. Boop, boop. Boop, boop. We shall use the sun. And the lake is free. I think that I see a semblance of a lake underneath all the ice. We plan to operate a fishery here in Northwall. Thank you, my master. The people here can now live in peace. So I can just leave, even with all the monsters around? like I said, the game... Like, I really, really want someone to take this concept and just go to town with it in this day and age. I mean, because I will admit, ActRaiser is a bit minimal, but it's the only game that I think goes... It's definitely unique. It's got the uniqueness aspect when determining a must-play game. While other games have combined genres, I don't think any of them have done it to quite this extent. But there's just so much potential here, like being a god that also has to personally interact with the people, or personally defend them. The god game genre is something that I don't know why isn't more popular. Like, I can't think of any kind of major franchise in this day and age that does it. I mean, there are plenty of city builders, and there are plenty of strategy games, that kind of stuff, but it's not exactly the same thing as a god game, where you're basically trying to get your people to worship you and take care of them. The only major title, I think, in that area is Black and White, which is a game I haven't played. Yeah. Gotta get rid of all the red devils. Our people have sealed the monster's lair without our help. It appears that someone has found something in the monster's lair. We have found a strange statue. We present this to you as an offering. Please accept it. I may as well as use one right now. Something to tell you. We now understand how to build bridges. We can build... yeah. Okay. You basically just want to rush this one as much as possible before Act 2. Northwall is actually surprisingly small, so it shouldn't take very long. And the pathway is open. People in Northwall have listened. And I think that's the final spell. But people in Northwall have something to tell you. The cold here is so harsh that people are unable to live with ordinary clothing. Do you have any material which we can make warmer clothing? People, they're so persistent to live in the worst environments possible. There's a large tree. The other day, two of us went to the mighty tree. At the trunk of the tree, we found something very interesting. There were two initials carved into the tree. These initials prove that people inhabited this land a few thousand years ago. We also discovered a scroll hidden near the trunk of the tree. Please accept it. Now, there's the theory that ActRaiser 2 is actually a prequel to ActRaiser, because in that game, your master has wings and seems to be much more powerful. You get to see Tanzra basically cast out of heaven in the opening cinematic, and that's definitely something I can buy. Like, Quintet games are all about resurrection and basically life being a cycle. Every end is another beginning. And every beginning is some other beginning's end. Yeah, they don't just use Christian imagery and ideas, they use ideas of reincarnation, ideas of religions from all over the world. And then one day, Quintet just up and disappeared. After the Gaia trilogy, they did a couple of other things, and they vanished. No one has heard anything from them since. I don't think they went out of business. Yes, there are monsters coming from the tree. We'll take our stuff. We need magical light. We need a source of magic. And everything else is completely useless to me. Okay, return. I'll be right back, and then we can begin. Alright. Let's save and then finish this. One final area to go. Status of the cities. No, status of the master. Oh, yeah. We're easily getting enough points. Northwall is incredibly easy to maximize for some reason. Now this is quite clearly the hardest of the platforming stages in the game. And the music really showcases it. You can go up here and get a 1-up. Now we go into a tree. But yeah, Quintet completely just vanished off the face of the earth. And no one knows why. It's quite mysterious. Like, apparently they told the story that they wanted to tell and just left us. Which is quite the interesting legacy. Although considering what happened to other developers from the time, maybe that's not the worst thing in the world. You know, back in the day, Konami was fantastic. You know, Capcom, Square Enix, or Square and Enix. They were all great and at the top of their game, and everybody loved them. Then things happened. You either die a hero or you live long enough to be a villain. And Quintet died amazing. Alright. So I'm probably going to try and, yeah. Okay. Up, up, up. Now, the longer you stand on these bubbles, the more they slow down. If you jump on them, that doesn't happen. It basically resets them, so this portion of the level can go by really, really quickly. And you go on the tree up into space. Now you have the most beautifully designed boss in the game, the Sky Space Dragon. Eastuff, I don't think I've ever destroyed him without magical Stardust. Like, I don't know if his attacks are dodgeable, even. But he does look quite nice. And that's the last act. Now, when you completed Act 2 in every single area, something happens. In the middle of the ocean, a volcano rises. When you destroy the final monster, the demon Tandra's island emerged from the depths of the ocean northeast of here. Tandra is underground, waiting for his final battle with the Master. Alright, let's go, Sir Enter, to the haunted land Deathheim. We're not going to do that, we still got to finish Northwall. which is a bit anticlimactic, I guess, but, you know, gotta finish our business. And Northwall still hasn't been earthquaked. There is no special events here, so... maybe there are. Oh, yeah. Thank you, our master, for ridding our land Northwall of all monsters. We can now carry on by ourselves. Thank you for taking care of us. Yeah, there's no special events here, so I'll talk to you when I'm full. Hey, look at that. Another level. Your level is 16. Oh, by the way, your level increased again on the total population becomes 4,600. Only one more level to go. Can I make it? We'll have to see. And would you look at that. When they're done constructing, your level has increased. I'm very happy with your improvement. Now your level is 17 and your HP are 24. Sir, enter. It appears you have recovered your original strength. And max. I came very close to not making it. With only 5 less people, I would not have been able to get to max level, which would have been sad. Anyway, we're going to go to Death Theme now for my least favorite part of the game. I said before that Quintet's biggest flaw was bosses. Well, that's not entirely true. They're bad at bosses, they're horrible at final bosses. First of all, before you can even fight Tanzra, I suppose I should spoil it for you. There's gonna be a boss rush where you have to fight every single Act 2 boss in a row without getting a game over. And it's really, really funny. In a game about ascending to heaven, it's interesting how they decided to put in something in their game that would send them straight to hell. You have to fight all these bosses, they're now harder, and you have to conserve your magic power. That's why I wasn't so hesitant to using magic power before. This is the thing as a kid I could never ever beat. Now as an adult though, I've done it many, many times. I'm capable of doing it easily. But even today, it's just a stupid fucking design decision. Seriously, I fucking hate boss rushes. They're stupid, lazy, recycling of assets. Even at the time. I already fucking did this. Maybe it was another attempt to rebalance because they predicted that you'd keep using magical Stardust on all of the bosses, but still. Score here obviously doesn't matter. And yes, I was joking about that putting a boss rush in your game sends you straight to hell. Now we fight... But yeah, this is how you fight each of them without magic. The only one I think you can't avoid the only one I think you can't avoid damage from is Minotaurus. And this is another reason why I wanted more lives than magic. I save my magic in these levels for the Sky Dragon. But yeah. And the background now shows an eclipse for the final showdown. But yeah, there's more reasons why the final boss battle of ActRaiser just pisses me off. Like, this is lazy and stupid. I don't care what you say, it's lazy and stupid boss rushes. It has not worked once in any game that I have ever played. Maybe Mega Man 2, but that's about it. Actually, no. The game would be much, much better without the boss rush. Boss rushes immediately make your game worse by default. If you put a boss rush in your game, it was better without it. The only thing you could do is fake longevity and just... I absolutely hate them. I absolutely cannot stand them. And yeah, of course they're difficult and hard to complete. That's not the point. Okay, the snake guy is the easiest to deal without getting any damage. Just jump. He sends this down. He does this. You can run under him and he will go straight down because he has spikes underneath his ass. Okay, buddy. Thank you. Just takes a long time. And yeah, imagine if spikes killed me instantly. Also, this game, ActRaiser, it has a professional mode, which is just the action stages without any simulation portions. I'm not going to play it. I don't think it's necessary. This is just tedious to beat him without magical Stardust. Okay. Like, it's not hard. Like, all I feel like fighting these guys again is that I'm wasting my time. And then there's this guy. Here's where we use the magic. And now we actually get to face the final boss. Alright, show me what you got, Tanzra. Now, in the USA version, you're able to shoot sword laser beams, which I don't think is in any other version. And guess what? He has access to magical Stardust too! Dun dun dun. Okay, so you defeat him, and here's my other most hated trope ever. Bosses with more than one form. This is another piece of bullshit that I hate. It just feels incredibly, incredibly cheap, and it takes away the satisfaction of defeating a boss. Like, when you think you've actually finally won, after so many hard hours of toil and getting through that stupid fucking boss rush, you beat him, but you just barely beat him in his first form. But nope, psych, got a second form. Yeah, once again, I died on purpose. And if there's a trend that I would love to just die, it is bosses with more than one form. Even final bosses. If you can't make them powerful in their first form, I don't give a shit. Like, it's never a pleasant experience, and it's one of the reasons why I don't really play many RPGs, because it has infested the genre. I mean, yeah, I guess it was at one point an interesting twist, but it's so fucking cliche. Not that the boss battle here is fucking interesting, either. You just stand here, wait for him to become vulnerable, and... yeah. I mean, yeah, it might be more interesting in the European version, you know. Until you die, lose all your lives, and have to fight those fucking boss rush again. And it's over. I'm sure that I'm going to have to rant on boss rushes and boss battles, final boss battles with extra forms. Like, at this point in 2018, it's gotten to the point where games are even parodying bosses with multiple forms, like AVGN Adventures 2. That was definitely a good parody, or it would have been a good parody if the boss wasn't incredibly difficult. Anyway, Death Theme is done. And now, one thing about this ending is that the text is forced to be slow, and I don't know why. But it's a good long ending. With this, our current duties are complete. We have labored long and hard to help our people become free. I do feel a bit of regret that they will no longer need our help. Let's take one last look at each of the thriving towns we have helped develop. I shouldn't comment on the translation again, but this is not the time to bungle a translation. The ending of ActRaiser is beautiful. I'm just gonna be quiet for this one. Yes, I remember the people of Bloodpool who had to draw lots, decide who would be sacrificed. But I knew whose lot was drawn. And we go on from Bloodpool to Kasandora. I said I'd be quiet, but I don't think I can help myself. I do wish that the text scroll was faster. For like the default it's been on for the whole time is 2. This is like dead 8 or something. It doesn't feel drawn out though. People are drawn into the pyramid bias. But should we believe this? The monsters living in the pyramid were nothing more than reincarnations of the human slaves who built the pyramid. Their spirits remained, drawing people's minds to the pyramid. A lot of backstory that we never get to the end of the game. They will be reborn as human beings. That's a nice ending. Up to Aitos. This is the volcanic town Aitos. I was so impressed by these people. who tried to build homes in spite of the continuous lava flow. Their leader passed away from this life right before your very eyes. I am certain he dedicated his whole life to informing people of your existence. I hoped Aitos would become a beautiful town representative of his great spirit. Onwards to Marana, the most interesting town to talk about. This is the jungle town Marana. They have built so many homes on such a small island. I felt very sad when the town's 2 leaders were tempted by the wicked mirror. I don't know what that means. But human beings have a tendency to choose the easier way when faced with difficulties. Having seen the people's weakness, I felt obligated to lead them in the right direction. And finally, we go to Northwall. Now, going through all the areas again, that's nice, but Northwall is where the ending really takes off. This is the last of our lands, Northwall. I felt a little guilty about letting people live in such a cold climate, but they successfully overcame many problems. Their 2 leaders were telling us that when they found the 2 initials on the mighty tree, they felt a certain affection towards what or who had left the initials. I think those 2 leaders were sweethearts who had lived here long ago, but were killed by monsters. Their spirits have since come to dwell in these bodies. If my story is correct, the sweethearts have finally reunited after a long separation. Even though they don't remember, isn't it a beautiful story? And yes, it is. This being so, it seems your people, as well as yourself, have had a hard time. Sir Enter, why don't we take a look inside the shrine? Nobody is here. In former times, people would call for you and ask for your help. As cultures and lands become more advanced, do people tend to forget those who helped them? But then people may be most happy when not in need of help from their masters, or when they have forgotten him. Should we yearn for a time when people will no longer need to ask for our help? That's just a sentiment that gets more and more powerful every single time I come across it. And then we go back into the sky, flying away from the continent. And that is ActRaiser, complete with the 20th Century Fox theme. And yes, I got a little misty-eyed when reading the ending. It's simple. It's simple, but it's at the same time incredibly powerful. I played this game many times, and it still resonates extremely strongly with me to this day. Like I said, it's not my favorite game, it's not even my favorite Quintet game, but it's definitely a game that I play every once in a while. I play it once a year at least. It's just a tight, cohesive experience that really makes you think, and it really makes you appreciate some of the things in life. The sentiment of the game is beautiful, and it's the paradox of wanting to be helpful. You're going for a time when you're not needed. That's the goal of being helpful. Most people have a feeling that they want to be needed, but in the end, you have to help them get to a place where they don't need you anymore. And I think that I'm rambling at this point. There's nothing much to say except watching the credits roll. I had an enjoyable experience playing through this again. Even though I played it very, very recently, every single time, it's incredibly, incredibly enjoyable. Licensed by Nintendo. The end. And I'll see you guys for the next one.